listen, never in my life associated the word boring with baseball.
We know what's up.
Me? Yeah. Famous? Yeah.
And I'm like giddy over there smiling like, we're about to win this shit.
Did everyone give you crap? Give me a good host story.
I'm not picking it up.
We both love the game.
We talk about it every day.
Getting on baseball.
Having some popcorn, you're fooling around your phone.
I'd have to wait in line for 3 hours.
Hang on, because it's about to be a wild ride.
There is no human being on the planet I'd rather talk to right now than Dave Sims. That's a fact. One of our absolute favorites. Every time a home run is hit by a Yankees player, I run to the interwebs. I said, I got to hear this one, man. I got to hear this one. How's your season going? How's everything going?
Going well. I had sniffles, had a cold, big deal. Hey, I'm a grown-up. You fight through it. I missed one game. I had laryngitis. I really couldn't talk. I think I'm about 98% back now. I feel good. The warm weather helps a heck of a lot, I got to tell you.
You look great. You sound great.
Thank you. I'm enjoying it, man.
Are you?
And, Susan and I go way back 88-ish. Yeah, something like that. And so we know each other. We've been texting for years when I was in Seattle. If she was playing early, I'd be, I'm getting ready in Seattle, and at this time of day, it's in the morning, I'm waking up watching the Yankee game, and sending stuff. What the hell's going on? Or why'd you say this or whatever? And it's back and forth. And she would do likewise. So it was great. And we trade information, and we've gotten together with my wife, and we've had gone out with her, and we talk theater every time the season's over. All right, what are your recommendations?
Oh.
What shows are we going to see? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with all due respect to Seattle, it's not.
All due respect, correct.
It's on the next level.
I'm coming back to New York. Hey, got to take advantage of being there.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. So we talked not too long after you got the job, and you're so good at talking about expectations and being honored with it and everything else. But anytime you go into anything, there's things that come up what you don't know. And a lot of it's for the better. A lot of it's you have to adjust to. What are some of the things when you go into this job, as much as you experienced, every market is different. How has this been different for you?
Well, just the expectations are 100-fold different from what we had in Seattle. Seattle's got great baseball fans, great baseball city. The tradition, a legacy with this organization, Kidney, and the expectations are huge. I think that I don't, I only in conversations like this that I think about it.
Yeah.
It's another baseball game. It's another baseball game now. It's different. Like last week, I told Susan on the air, I said, well, this is my first experience with the Yankees Red Sox. Not bad. And this is my first one here, obviously here in Fenway. So I like that. All the rivalries are a little bit different. And the other thing that I really enjoy is that the travel's a heck of a lot easier. We've already finished the West Coast. We got short hops to Toronto. Everybody in our division. We play the Mets at home. Phillies come to us. Yeah, that's about it. And certain things they do differently, maybe in keeping everything together, or organizing when to go, where to be, and that kind of stuff. But it's stuff.
Listen, at the end of the day, when a guy hits a home run in a big moment, there's no person I'd rather like behind the mic.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Having played, I played all through high school, did a couple of years of D3. I know what it's like to struggle like hell in this game. This game's tough, man.
Yeah.
So anytime, and people used to get on me in Seattle, and even New York, because I salute a good play by the other team. This game is very, very difficult, and that's one of the things we're selling the game, not just the Yankees, but we're selling the game. We're and to see great performances out here by everybody, it's.
Do people really care that you say good job for?
I've heard some people. I've heard from some people already. So
come on, the great game of baseball, man.
Exactly. So come on,
So I want to go back to we mentioned some signature moments you had in Seattle, but here you've already had some signature moments, right?
Hey, the Judge home run
to
tie the game at 1-1 the other night after he'd been K'd 6 straight times.
6 straight times, yeah.
By Crochet, who was an absolute monster, who I ran into in the subway last week in New York.
You're kidding me.
Yeah,
he took the subway?
Han Weissert and Bernardino, and I get on the 4 train, and as the car walk in, I go, boom, I turn to my left, and I say, yo, what's up, man? And so I introduced myself to him. I said, last time I saw you, It was in a parking lot in Chicago. He says, yeah, I remember. I've had 13 punch-outs. I said, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
By the way, Garrett Crochet taking the subway. Like, Weissert, Bernardino, fine, but it's hard to hide for Garrett Crochet.
Yeah. And he didn't have a cap on or anything, so he was in his old ball-headed glory, It was great. It was great.
But I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the moment. That's a moment where you talk about yay baseball, great game of baseball. Like, there's an appreciation from even the Yankee side of what Crochet is doing. That right, you strike out Aaron Judge 6 straight times, it is what it is. Yeah. But then what that did was lead up to the ultimate theater. Like, this is like the iconic moment.
That's and I even said, I think I'm at the back end of my call, I said, this is why we love the game of baseball.
Yes.
I mean, it was just the build-up. You could feel it. It can't cut to 3-2. You got big guy on big guy. I mean, it doesn't get any. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we read in Tom Swift novels, back as kids and whatnot. And here it is, we're living and breathing it, and we're watching Judge have a year. I mean, we can talk about what Ted did here, Lou, Babe, Mick, Reggie, but real time, I'm watching it, and it's unbelievable.
I do want to ask you about Judge, but to stay on that moment. In that at bat, again, 6 straight strikeouts. Yankees down 1-0, 1 out in the 9th inning. They leave Crochet in to have this moment. He throws the hardest pitches that he's thrown all year.
Yeah, he goes triple digits.
Right, triple digits. And then you get to 3-2. I'm always fascinated about the mindset of a broadcaster like you. You get to that moment. You're anticipating 2 things. You're not anticipating the weak ground out to second.
No.
You're like, well, how am I going to react to a strikeout? How am I going to react to a 463-foot home run?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think about it. I just react to it.
Yeah.
Pre-planning, and I think I told you this before. If I remembered lines that well, I'd have been an actor. I don't mind being out in front of people and everything. If I could remember lines, I would have gone on and acted. But the spontaneity that you get here is different from acting, because you got to stick to the script. There's no script here. You got to react. You're walking a thin line, no net, and you got to nail it. And more often than not, you're going to nail it. And you're going to you'll have a moment where you kick it, call. And remember, Don Criqui said, "Hey, it's out in the ether. It's going to Pluto. Let it go. Don't recall it. Don't tie back to I made a mistake. No, just keep grinding." And that moment was just the kind of things, that's one of the reasons why you get in business too, to have a moment like that. And it was just, I heard from a couple, I was in the gym yesterday morning, and I got a couple texts from a couple writers, dude, great call. I enjoyed it. Yeah, great call. I was like, that means a lot, especially from guys in the media when they send you a text and say.
Well, I was talking to Matt Vasgersian when he was here. Trout hit a home run. It was a long home run. It wasn't as iconic as a Judge home run, but he's talking about not only when you get it from the media, but if a player says, if the player says it's a good call, that hits different, right?
Yesterday in the elevator, I was going to breakfast, and Scott Efros, who just rejoined the team, and he, hey, I just want to introduce myself to you, blah, blah, blah. I missed you in spring training. He says, great call last night.
Oh, right.
That's gold, man.
It is, isn't it?
From players and other media members, it's gold. Yeah.
When he hits it, and it's just, one of the great things about going back to your time in Seattle is like I know you've talked about it a lot, sort of having the camera on you, the image of you. I think one of the things that drew me to you not only was to the call, but to see how genuine the reactions are, right?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I felt myself, I was going crazy, and I went, I give it one of those,
Yeah.
And it was, it was just so cool, and I was happy for him, I was happy for the ball club. Great dramatic moment. Again, it's storybook stuff, and I'm living it. And that's, because of who the Yankees are, everything, and we tend to exaggerate things and maybe blow things up a little bit more here in the East Coast. You guys do it here in Boston. We may do it more in New York.
Sure.
So that's the other thing. You're on the big stage. It's like when I go to 2 games at the Garden. You're in the big stage, man. You're in a big room. Yeah. I love it.
So let's go back to Judge. You obviously broadcast a lot of great players. Now you're broadcasting, and with Seattle, who was in your time, who was the most iconic player there that you
probably Nelson Cruz hit like 170 of his 400 whatever home runs that he hit. I thought some of the biggest moments. So he had a 7th inning 3-run homer to tie a game at 7-7 against the A's in game 161 back in 2018.
Yeah.
And a game that had the win to stay alive to play Sunday. to have a shot at making the playoffs. Lost that game, and then lost the next day, and it was over. Felix, of course, I'd say Nelly and Felix Hernandez. I caught Ichiro probably the back third of his career, and the team wasn't very good. But Felix, every 4 or 5 days, you knew you were something good could happen.
People don't forget how good he was.
And there were some down years, and that was the only bright spot we had. I remember Shannon Dreyer, who covers for on the radio. She used to always play Sunshines and Lollipops like the Leslie Gore song. It's Happy Felix to everybody, and that's how it went. So, but here, man, anything can and will and does happen.
Yeah, well, so you have, and even like Julio Rodriguez, he comes up, and the promise is difference between the promise of a young player, the excitement of a young player, what that young player might be, and what this player is in the moment, an iconic guy, the guy that when you're watching one of the best that ever has been. And this is what we're doing with Judge right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Face of baseball right now. He and Ohtani. I mean, and as great as Ohtani is, Judge's numbers right now, he's having a better year than Ohtani, which is saying something.
Yeah.
And then just watching, we get off the bus and the crowd reaction, people waiting for us. It's just.
But that's what
it's like
I want
Elvis.
to ask you
it's
about.
Like Elvis.
Right. That's because when you come in, you know Judge. Yeah. But you don't know Judge. You haven't been around Judge. You haven't been on the bus with Judge. You haven't like this sort of thing. What are some of the things that you're like? Oh my goodness! This didn't hit like I thought it would when it comes to Judge.
When we'd only play the Yankees in Seattle, play them twice a year. So maybe 6 games, 7 games, and I would try to chit chat around the cage. He was always very very pleasant, amiable. He really has modeled himself after Derek Jeter. Yeah. And boy, I tell you what, the thing that I do note, the players love him, and they total mad respect for him. And he's the big guy. He leads by example.
There's not to me, and you can disagree. The captain thing with baseball is a tricky thing. More than sometimes I cringe when they throw a seat, or they don't really do it actually very much anymore, because a baseball clubhouse is so many different pieces, right?
Subgroups, no doubt.
Right, exactly. But there are some guys who, and I remember Mookie saying this when Ortiz left, said everything had to pass through Ortiz. Yeah. It's not like this guy is going to get on a stool in the middle of the room, but everything has to pass through it. That's kind of how it feels.
Yeah,
with Judge,
right? I've read stories, and people told me stories about him buying suits for kids or rookies, welcoming them in, that kind of stuff. There is an aura about the guy. I mean, he carries himself beautifully. And, and Alex even said, win or lose, he stays pretty much the same, his demeanor. And easy to like, easy to respect.
Last thing is, we were having dinner the other night, and it wasn't Father's Day. As we sit here right now, it is Father's Day. And you just said, kind of sort of out of nowhere, like my dad would be like this. He would look at like what I'm doing right now with such reverence. Talk a little bit, if you can, about because I do think, I don't know when people will listen to this, but still, as we sit here, it's Father's Day, so I think it's a good time to talk about it.
My father got to see my career unfold as an intern, as a sports writer, as a talk show host. When I was simulcasting my talk show at WNBC, he came on as my guest co-host one time, which was a riot. And I told so many anecdotes when I was doing the talk show at WNBC about going to see Jim Brown, going to see Wilt Chamberlain, going to see, going to golf events. And my father was totally immersed in sports, so I'm where I'm supposed to be. Yeah. He would be losing his cookies if he knew I was the voice of the Yankees. He would be walking around Philadelphia. Hey, you tune in. Hey, WFAN 660. Hey, hey, it's my boy there. It's my kid. So.
What's his name?
Ulysses S. Sims. I was the junior. I was almost the third. My mother said over my dead body.
Really?
So that's that. So. Yeah, see, there was no way she was going to have a third Ulysses in the fan. No, with all due respect to all you Ulysses out there, and there probably aren't very many these days.
I was going to say our listenership. I don't know if we have any.
Yeah. I mean, not too many people.
Well, listen. I mean it with all sincerity. Like it's. I run every time the home run's hit by the.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So keep on keeping on.
Yeah, man.